Are you considering moving to Chattanooga, Tennessee? Like you, when I moved here, I wasn't really sure about the area or the city or many different things. What people here kind of know the inside details of living in an area. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss the top 5 things I wish I knew before moving to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Living in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My name is Junior Francica and I'm an agent here in Chattanooga. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say that as much as I love making these videos and giving all this content, what I love more is helping you with your real estate needs. So if you guys are considering moving here, or if you live here and you want to buy a new house or sell your house, feel free to reach out to the number on your screen. I absolutely love when you guys reach out and the conversations that we have, and I love helping you guys move to Chattanooga. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. So just giving you a little bit of background information, the list that I kind of put together is, some of it is stuff that I've experienced, and a lot of it is what I have heard from people moving here or locals that live here that wish they kind of knew these kind of things before they moved here. Okay, so that being said, let's get into the first thing that you should know, or things I wish I knew before moving to Chattanooga, and that is the pollen or allergies here in Chattanooga. So a little bit of context, I grew up in South Florida. I've never had any issues with any allergies, never, ever, ever, right? I was that type of person that when I went to my aunt's house, she has a bunch of allergies all year long, and I'm like, man, that absolutely sucks to have allergies and have those issues all the time. I moved to Chattanooga, and guess what? Now I have kind of seasonal allergies, especially in the spring and in the fall when the pollen count goes through the roof. I get kind of allergies for about a week or two. So if you're somebody that suffers from allergies year round, it's gonna affect you here. If you kind of get that seasonal allergies like most of us, you know, in the springtime, you're happy that winter's over and you're getting into spring and summer, but you're gonna go through that 2 to 3 week span of a lot of allergies. And the same thing in the fall, you're happy that the very hot and humid summer here are done and getting into cooler weather, but now you have to deal with allergies for another 2 to 3 weeks. So just know that allergies and the pollen count here are very high, and that's something that you're gonna have to deal with living here in Chattanooga. The second thing that we're going to talk about that I wish I knew before moving here, or people wish they knew, is hot and humid summers and cold and wet winters. Okay, so if you're moving from the West Coast or up north, humidity, depending where you're coming from, may not be a factor. It may be very dry, right, which is completely different. Humidity feels like it's 6 a.m., you walk outside, you're walking to get the mail, and you kind of start to sweat a little bit. It just feels damp, like a wet cloth is put over your mouth. That's what I heard somebody say. So we have humidity here, right? It's not all year round, but mainly June to like September, sometimes the very beginning of October, but mainly June to September, it's very humid here. And it gets pretty hot. So it's not gonna get 110 degrees like some places, but it will get, you know, mid 80s to mid 90s sometimes, and 80+% of humidity. So a lot of people are not used to that, or a lot of people don't like that, right? So if you're gonna go out to go for a hike, you're gonna be sweating the whole time when you get out the car to when you get back to the car. And that's just something that you need to take into account. Now the opposite side is our winters are very wet. So the time that rains the most in Chattanooga is during the winter season. And during that time, it's not like it's super downpour, but it's that very light, drizzly rain that you see. And it'll rain for a week straight. And then it'll stop. It'll still be, you know, gray and gloomy, and then rain for another couple days. So when the sun comes out in the winter, that's awesome because you get one day of sun. Some winters are worse than others. We've had winters that it's rained almost all winter long, and we've had some that hasn't rained as much. So it's kind of the luck of the draw there. But just know, one of the things you have to be aware of, that we have very hot and humid summers, and we have very cold, well, not very cold, I would say about 30 degrees-ish is kind of normal temperature, but it is very wet because of the light, drizzly rain that you get all winter long. The third thing that we're going to discuss is we have a very small airport here, okay? For me personally, I don't travel a lot, so it's a positive for me, right? So if I want to take a flight out of Chattanooga, it's very easy to get through security. It's very easy to get through all that process. It maybe takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, and you're through security, you're waiting to get on your flight. It's an easy process, right? But if you work with a company, or you travel a lot, or you like to travel a lot, we do not have a lot of direct flights. I know my wife doesn't like to fly, so anywhere we go, we more than likely have to get a direct flight there because she doesn't want to stop and get another flight to go anywhere else. She just wants to minimize just going there one shot and not having to get two planes. So if you like to travel a lot, we do have a small airport. I believe right now we're only at 9 direct flights to 9 different cities, and these cities are Atlanta and Charlotte, which are the two main hubs that you would fly to get the other flight to go other places. Then you have Dallas, Orlando, Detroit, Tampa, Chicago, DC, and Miami is the latest one that we have. One of the hacks that we kind of have here is we have Atlanta and we have Nashville and Knoxville, kind of almost 2 hours away, all of them. Knoxville is about an hour and a half away. But usually if you want to go internationally or go somewhere that we don't have a direct flight to, you will go out of Atlanta because it's a lot cheaper than flying from Chattanooga. It's actually a couple $100s cheaper usually. And even if you fly out of Chattanooga, your plane is probably gonna leave, go to Atlanta, and then get a different plane anyways. So if you are flying out of Atlanta, we have transportation companies here that you can actually go in Chattanooga, drop off your car, and they will get a shuttle and drive you to Atlanta, and that's where you can get your flight. And then when you land in Atlanta, they'll actually go and pick you up and bring you back to their transportation center to where you can get in your car and go back home. So that's kind of a way to go around it, but just know that we do have a small airport, and if you travel a lot, you're just gonna have to put up with that. But the great thing is that the security is very quick and it's easy to get through all that stuff, unlike, you know, bigger airports where it can take an hour or two just to get through security. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is the crime rate here. Okay, it's no secret that Chattanooga has above national average statistics as far as crime rate goes. So if you just Google, Chattanooga crime rate, you'll find all that information. With all that being said, just like anywhere you live, if you don't go looking for those type of situations or those type of areas, you'll be fine. My experiences here have been positive. I've never had any issues with any break-ins, any, break-ins to my car or my house or anything like that. My wife will literally sometimes forget the door open at night of the car. Nothing's missing in the morning. All the experiences I've heard of people that have bad experiences, they were usually in areas or places that they should have been in the first place. But with everything, that's something that you need to take into account, right? If you have kids or, just for whatever reason, you need to know that. Number 5, the thing I want to talk about that I wish I knew is it's an outdoor city, right? Now you're probably thinking like, what do you mean? Because that's usually what you talk about as a positive. Yes, but I'm talking about in the different aspect as like it's an outdoor city, meaning spring through fall. It's absolutely beautiful here. It's amazing to go hiking, to go just be outdoors, mountain biking, running, taking walks, all that stuff. But then on the flip side, during winter time, anywhere from like November to March, April timeframe, it's winter, right? And kind of like I talked about in my previous point, it's cold and it's rainy. So a lot of the things to do in the city has a lot to do with being outdoors. So in the winter, there's not as many things to do here, right? Now that doesn't mean we don't have anything. We have a mall and we have the aquarium and museums and you can catch a movie. Like there are things to do, but the main appeal of the city, in my opinion, is the outdoor life that you can live here. Now, some people like myself, I'll still take my kids and we'll go hiking when it's 40 degrees out. We'll still do stuff in the winter. Some days, like I believe this year in March, there was a week that it got up to 70 degrees, right? It was like 30 degrees and all of a sudden like 3 or 4 days of 70 degrees. Take the kids out, go out for hikes, go do outdoor stuff, and then it goes right back to 30 degrees. The weather here kind of fluctuates a lot, and sometimes you get really warm weather out of nowhere, and then it drops down back to cold. But just know that the main appeal of the city, or the reason why you're coming here, the outdoor life, in the winter time, that's gonna kind of have a lull, and you'll have to find different activities or different things that you need to do to keep yourself occupied or keep your kids occupied. We do have things here for that, like I mentioned, the aquarium and the mall and anything like that. But just know that you won't have as much to do here in the winter time. All right, so I talked about 5 different things and I want to have 2 notable mentions, right? One notable mention of the things I wish I knew before moving here is the sales tax rate. Now, I'm not a CPA or an accountant, a professional, anything like that. This is just general information from the internet that anybody can find. The sales tax in Tennessee is 7% total for the whole state. Each area has their own tax rate on top of that, and in Hamilton County, where Chattanooga is located, it's 2.25%. So the total of the sales tax in the Chattanooga area is 9.25%. Okay, the highest tax rate, I believe, sales tax rate is California at 9, like the base, or 7.25 the base. And then there's 4 states that are tied for second place. Tennessee is one of those 4 places. So Tennessee does have a high sales tax. And what that means is if you buy a car at, $25,000, you're gonna pay 9.25% sales tax on top of that $25,000. Anything you purchase here, you're gonna pay that 9.25% sales tax. Now on the flip side, you don't have state income tax, but we'll get into that in a different videos. But that's something that you need to be aware of. And even if you buy a car in Georgia or in Florida, like I tried to once, they will still put that sales tax on the car. I bought a car in Florida a couple years ago, but since my driver's license was in Tennessee, they still charged me the 9.25% sales tax, so there's really no way around it. The second notable mention that I want to talk about is tornadoes. I get this question a lot. Tornadoes they could happen here, right? One thing I will say is that if it happened here often, we would not live here because my wife would not be able to live here with tornadoes. We had one hit about, I think it's almost 3 years ago now, in a very specific area. It touched down, it went for a mile, it picked up and disappeared. Before that, we had one 9 to 10 years before that, but it was right over the border into Georgia. So yes, tornadoes can happen here, but they do not happen often. It's just something you need to take into account. And also too, tornadoes have a very short window of when they can happen. From my understanding, it's kind of in the springtime when we start going from the cold winter months and the cold air, and then we start getting warmer air. That mix is when the tornadoes can happen. So it's really for only like a 2 to 3 month time frame when you have the possibility. So it's not like a whole year thing. You're out hiking in July and all of a sudden there's a tornado, you have nowhere to go. It's not like that. It's only for a very short period of time. But it's just something you have to know if you're considering moving here. Alright guys, well that's the video today. I hope I was able to bring value to you and answer some questions that maybe you're thinking about. Again, like always, if you have any other follow-up questions or anything I haven't discussed in any other videos, if you're considering moving to Chattanooga, feel free to reach out to the number on your screen. I love to help you guys out and I love to answer your questions and have conversations with you. With that being said, until next time, take care and God bless.